Welcome once again to Talk Formula One. It was a reasonably exciting weekend, and I guess we'll just jump into it. Welcome, OBJ.
Thank you, Dele. As you can see, I'm in a sober mood. I feel like crying. I don't know what to say. Should we Quali? I've got nothing to say about Quali. I just don't, other than the chassis switch. I was expecting Bottas to be ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but it didn't happen. Over to you, Dele. Over to you.
Well, I think you are being a bit overcritical of Bottas here. It goes without reason to assume that even though Lewis isn't given a number one driver status, he obviously is the number one driver. And
without a doubt,
Lewis, in my opinion, I like to be critical of him, but Lewis has that X factor. And so I think when you compare teammates to Lewis, you're being a bit unfair. Having said that, I would still like to say that Bottas didn't do too badly because I would say in terms of quality, he did his job. The Mercedes split the Red Bulls.
Philip, I hear you. I hate to jump in, Gilly, but he did his job. He's got the arguably fastest chassis now. People like to compare themselves to Sir Lord Lewis Hamilton or Lord Lewis Hamilton, and the truth of the matter is, like you rightly said, they don't compare to Lewis Hamilton, and he has the fastest chassis now. No change. Over to you, Gilly. Sorry, I just needed to jump in there. I'm so passionate about this, and I'm quite upset on occasion.
Well, having said that, there wasn't too much more to Quali. Nothing new with Quali. The AlphaTauri team, sadly enough, didn't have both cars in Quali 3 like one would have expected, but obviously Yuki couldn't make it because of his accident. Otherwise, it was the usual suspect. So I guess we should jump straight into the race. What about the race?
Absolutely. Let's jump right into the race. I'm in a sober mood today, so I'm just gonna let you carry on, and I'll jump in if I can't contain myself. But it is what it is.
Well, what was interesting was, I would say, Max has showed a few more sides to his racecraft, because it was interesting how Max was able to come out and make the undercut work for him against Lewis. This is bearing in mind that Lewis actually had a quicker pit stop. His pit stop was 2.2 seconds. Max's
2.2 seconds, which was 2.3 from the Mercedes.
So all along in the first stint, he must have been sandbagging the Mercedes team. But yeah, I guess that's an interesting observation. But that said, I would quickly jump to the fact that I think Mercedes dropped the ball big time. They did.
He showed himself to be, um, Verstappen showed himself to be inexperienced. He carried way too much speed into turn one, and he nearly lost the end of the car. He nearly did. He nearly lost the car in turn one. Those are
Yeah,
the
but
kind of.
OBJ, don't you think you are being a bit too critical of Max? Max is a kid next to Lewis. So I think you're being overcritical here. Um, same could go for Lewis in Baku on the restart. He went straight on. Maybe I know you have a slightly different opinion, but from where we were all standing and looking, I guess on the restart, Lewis got overexcited, overcooked it, and went straight on instead of making the bend. Schoolboy mistake, we would say, but we won't go back to back.
Hey, look, schoolboy mistake. We hear about the other dynamics, this magic switch that apparently has been repositioned now. That might have been responsible for that. It's clearly to me, in my mind, it's a switch that Lewis Hamilton, is not used to being in the position that it was, hence the accidental switch. That said, I would look when you're top world class material and you're dashing into turn one. I mean, before the race, David Coulthard, he made it absolutely clear. Verstappen's approach to turn one is Lewis, you either let me through or you're gonna get it. And Lewis needed to push his elbows out. They both went for the dash. Turn one, Lewis, the experienced driver that he is, he knows when to back off on the gas pedal and prepare for the turn. Verstappen didn't do that. He carried on. Just a fraction of a second more than he should have. What's the result? Nearly lost the rear end of the car. And this is where experience, in my opinion, comes in. If you're world champ material, you need to be able to control your emotions. This is high octane, high adrenaline, but you need to be able to control your emotions and not make the obvious mistake of carrying too much speed into a turn and silly things like that. That will ultimately result in you losing the rear end of the car, which he nearly did. It could have caused an accident and take both guys out.
OBJ, I'll take you back to 2008, China.
China, yes.
Lewis lost the world title because he overcooked it on the pit entry and beached the car. So, I think you're being a bit overcritical of Max. He's a kid, relatively speaking. And, I expect his mistakes. It cannot be easy having to compete against.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you on China. Lewis's tires were shot, completely shot. They should have had the pit stop way before they brought him in. When they brought him in, he was virtually driving on no tires. So beaching the car was a consequence of that. So I wouldn't draw a comparison there. That's what I'm saying.
Well, jury will remain out on that.
Indeed.
Going back to the race, I would say bit of a disappointment. Just when you thought the Ferraris had made advances forward, they seem not to have race pace still. They're managing to make Q3 and find their way further up the pack, but they're ending up further down at the end of the race. I mean, what's happening with Ferrari?
Honestly, I like yourself. I was a bit disappointed with the pace. I mean, I saw Leclerc being passed a few times. I was in shock. I didn't know where, I didn't know which account to write that in. I didn't know what happened. Like yourself, I expected them further off the grid. I didn't see them further off the grid. All I saw was them dropping further down. And so what comes to mind is consistency. Where is the consistency? Well, it could be the track. So let's not be too critical of them. Let's not, be too harsh on them. I mean, this, circuit is, it's not the one that they race on every other day. So it just could be down to that. Maybe the chassis just wasn't set up for it. I mean, what
yes, but OBJ. Formula One is Ferrari, and Ferrari Formula One. Come on,
what are you talking? Formula One is Ferrari. This is you talking about being overly critical. Now this is you now with a hammer. You're actually going after Ferrari with a hammer.
I can only speak on behalf of the millions of Ferrari fans out there who, are expecting Ferrari to be fighting with the Mercs. Okay, fighting the Red Bulls and the Mercedes and, the Ferraris are in there mixing it up. But, what do they have?
Ferraris, like Mercedes, are constructors, and they sell their road cars based on their F1 performance. You're absolutely spot on. They drop the ball. What can I say?
Having said that, let's look at the positives. I mean, once again, the McLarens have pulled themselves up. I mean, fifth for that boy I like to refer to as Lando
Norris. Amazing guy.
Fantastic drive from him. And well, his teammate Ricciardo he shows he's getting back to where he used to be, but it was interesting, the exchange of positions they had during that race.
Yeah, there was, I think if I'm right, that happened like a couple of times where they exchanged positions.
Yeah, and my hats off to Lando, because it takes a lot to be able to do that to Ricciardo. That's just the bottom line. So
especially Ricciardo.
That kid is going to be something special. Mark my words on that. Also interesting was the Aston Martin boys. They've managed to enter the top 10 as well.
They are in the top 10, absolutely.
So, I mean, fair enough. Lance Stroll didn't make it in terms of quali, but, finishing in the top 10 shows that, he's been able, a good recovery drive, if you ask me.
I think overall, again, the word that keeps coming to mind is consistency. He has shown himself to be quite consistent. We're race 7 now, and it's doing what we're not necessarily expecting him to do, but he has done it consistently, and which to me is a massive improvement compared to the old names. And our boy Sergio Perez, what do you have to say about Sergio? He's on the podium always now. He's becoming an expectation.
Well, unfortunately for Mercedes, Red Bull have found a good pairing, and they're not going to get away with dropping the ball, which they seem to have consistently done this season. But hey,
indeed,
it's not late for them to recover themselves. Let's see where they go with this. Also, very interestingly, talking about the ex-world champions, so I would say Vettel is beginning to show, or seems to have gotten his mojo back. His driving is speaking for itself. Likewise, Fernando Alonso too is, he's showing some signs of the old Fernando.
He's showing the signs of the old Fernando, and he's still not on the podium. He's still not on the podium. We need Fernando on the podium because he
Well,
makes.
I put that down to equipment. The Alpine car
I
is
like
not
that
quite where
equipment.
it should be.
Yeah,
So
not the man. Let's blame the machine. I like that.
no, the Alpine car is not where it should be just yet. So, having said that, the last of the world champions, Kimi, well, I think Kimi is basically in retirement mode right now.
I honestly, I did not see Kimi in that race yesterday at all. I wanted to find him doing something creative, and it was like he wasn't there. So I don't know what your impressions are, but that's how I felt.
Oh, well, I know you're going to say it again, playing the machinery, but anyhow, I guess we just have race 8 to look forward to in Austria.
Indeed.
That's Red Bull's home race, so to speak. Hopefully, Mercedes will take the fight to them without, dropping the ball. What can I say?
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's look forward to the next race. And final thoughts, Kelly. I know we're massively out of time. We try to keep these videos to 9 minutes. I know we're really out of time. Final thoughts from me would be: we've done a switch of chassis for Bottas. It hasn't really made a huge impact on his performance. I think all what he said on team radio is not necessarily helpful. Criticizing the boss in open space. It's not the best thing he should be doing right now. And the future is not bright. It's not orange. I mean, the final thoughts from you.
Oh, well, I'm not going to criticize him for that. He's human at the end of the day, and sometimes professionalism goes through the window. But time will tell. Time will tell. Well, it's been fun talking about Paul Ricard, but I look forward to the race in Austria at the Steyr circuit. Thanks for tuning in. From me, it's goodbye. OBJ.
Yes, thanks as always. Great to have you with us. Please, let's hear from you. You can see I'm totally deflated, but it is what it is. We'll see you next episode. Thank you.